The DMX Operator 192 is a lighting controller based on the successful and simple to use DMX Operator. The DMX Operator 192 is a 192-channel DMX lighting control device designed for DJs, nightclubs, and bars. This controller allows operators to easily manipulate moving lights via simple to use buttons and faders. The DMX Operator 192 can control up to 16 moving lights, each consisting up to 16 channels. Up to 240 programmable scenes and 12 programmable chases can be recorded to the Operator 192's memory via 30 scene banks. Separate speed and fade faders allow you to set a chase rate and add a crossfade between chase steps on the fly. A USB input is available to accept a USB work light and our proprietary USB memory stick. A joystick is supplied to control the pan and tilt of moving lights. However, it is interchangeable if you desire to use the optional dual data wheels. All accessories, which include USB work light, model USB Lite, USB memory stick, model USB stick, and dual data wheel module, model DWM192, are available through your local Elation dealer. The RCA audio input. This input is for a line level signal coming from the output of a mixing console. The DB9 connector. This is to connect an optional external controller to manually trigger chase steps. The MIDI in port. This port is to connect to a MIDI controller or sequencer for external triggering. The fog machine input. This is to connect a compatible fog machine for onboard monitoring and triggering. The DMX output. This output sends DMX signal out to your fixtures. Connect out of the controller and into the input of your first fixture in line. The DC input. This is to connect the supplied 9-volt DC power supply. The power switch. This switches the controller's power on and off. For reference, programming, editing, and playback instructions are on the rear of the panel. Fixture buttons 1 through 12. These buttons are used to select and deselect desired fixtures for manual control or during the programming stage. The 8-channel faders. These faders are used to adjust fixture channel levels to a desired setting. Scene buttons 1 through 8. These buttons are used to store and play back scenes. The channel bank button. This button is used to switch between channel banks 1 through 8 and 9 through 16. The active channel bank can then be controlled using the 8-channel faders. When the LED above 1 through 8 is lit, channels 1 through 8 are active and can be controlled with the faders. When the LED above 9 through 16 is lit, channels 9 through 16 are active and can be controlled with the faders. The LED display. The LED display shows you relevant information depending on the operation. The speed fader. The speed fader is used to set a desired chase rate during playback. Its range is between 1/10 of a second to 10 minutes. The fade time fader. The fade fader is used to set a desired crossfade between chase steps during playback. Its range time is between 0 or no fade time to 30 seconds. The up-down bank buttons. These buttons are used to scroll through scene banks and chase steps. The USB port. This port is used for a USB work light and for data backup via our proprietary USB memory stick. The fog machine button. This button will trigger a compatible fog machine when connected. Compatible fog machines include FogStorm 1200, FogStorm 1700, Volcano, Vaporflow, Vaporizer, MB1000, Stallion, and Antari Z300, Z800, and Z1000. The LEDs next to the button indicate when the connected fogger is heating or ready for use. The red indicator LED indicates that the fogger is heating, and the green indicator LED indicates that the fogger is ready to be used. Chase buttons 1 through 12. These buttons are used to store and play back chases. The program button. This button is used to enter program mode to record scenes and chases, as well as assigning the joystick. The music bank button. This is a multifunction button. It is used to activate the internal microphone and the RCA audio input when connected. It is also used to copy a scene bank over to another bank. The MIDI record button. This is a multifunction button. It is used to set the MIDI channel and to record scenes and chase steps. The auto delete button. This is a multifunction button. It is used to automatically trigger scenes and chase steps. It is also used to delete scenes and chases when in program mode. The tap display button. This is a multifunction button. It is used to override a chase rate during playback and to view chase steps when in program mode. The blackout button. This button deactivates all channel output. The mode button. This is a multifunction button. It is used when assigning the joystick and activating the crossfade setting. The find button. This button affects the way the joystick operates. When the find button is selected, adjustments made to the joystick will increment and decrement in the smallest possible values. The joystick. The joystick is assignable and traditionally set to control the X and Y channels of a moving light. The joystick is interchangeable with our optional data wheels. Every fixture in the link must be assigned a DMX address channel, also known as a start channel, which is the first channel the controller uses to send information to the fixtures. The DMX operator 192 allows for control of 12 individual fixtures, each occupying 16 DMX channels. Fixtures of the same type can share the same address and will mimic each other's behavior. There is no fixture library incorporated into the DMX operator 192. Each fixture is automatically assigned 16 DMX channels regardless of how many channels it uses, as long as it's less than 16. Therefore, the starting address channel for each fixture is predefined to the following. Fixture number 1 should start on DMX channel 1. Fixture 2 should be set to start on DMX channel 17. Fixture 3 should be set to DMX channel 33. Fixture 4 should be set to DMX channel 49. Fixture 5 should be set to DMX channel 65. Fixture 6 should be set to DMX channel 81. Fixture 7 should be set to DMX channel 97. Fixture 8 should be set to DMX channel 113. Fixture 9 should be set to DMX channel 129. Fixture 10 should be set to DMX channel 145. Fixture 11 should be set to DMX channel 161. And fixture 12 should be set to DMX channel 177. Assigning your fixtures to these settings will give you individual control when selecting a fixture button. To assign the joystick to your fixtures, enter the program mode by pressing and holding the program button down for 2 seconds. A small indicator next to the program text will illuminate. Next, select the fixtures that you wish to assign the joystick for by pressing the corresponding fixture buttons. Only the selected fixtures will be assigned to the joystick. Next, press the mode button followed by the find button simultaneously. As a result, the pan and assign LEDs will illuminate. Your display will read PL00. This is for our pan low byte channel, which is currently set to 0. Press the tap display button to get to the high channel. This is our coarse channel. Next, press the mode button and simultaneously select the scene button that corresponds to the channel that controls your pan. For example, my fixture's pan channel is channel 1, so I'll hold the mode and the 1. All 12 chase LEDs will momentarily flash, and your display will read PH01. This means that our pan channel has been assigned to channel 1 for our first 6 fixtures. If your fixture has a pan find channel, Pressing the tap display button gets you to the fine setting. You would assign it at this time by holding down the mode button and simultaneously pressing the scene button that corresponds to your fixture's pan fine channel. To assign your tilt channel, use the bank up and down buttons so that your display reads TL or TH00. You switch between the TL setting and the TH setting by pressing the tap display button. Once again, our TH setting is our coarse channel, where we would want to assign our tilt channel to. Press and hold the mode button down and press the scene button that corresponds to your tilt channel. My tilt channel is on 2, so I'll hold the mode, then press the 2 simultaneously. Our display will then read TH02. This means our tilt channel has been assigned to channel 2 for the selected fixtures. Again, if you have a tilt fine channel, press the tap display button so that you can assign it here. My fixtures do not have fine channels, so I will not enter them at this time. To exit the assign mode, press the mode button followed by the fine button 2 times. Now that we assigned our joystick for the selected fixtures, we can test them by opening the shutter and dimmer to your fixtures, then using the joystick to move the beam. As you can see, as I move side to side, it's controlling the pan, and up and down is controlling my tilt. So I successfully assigned my joystick to my fixtures. We can also invert any desired fixture. Enter our assign mode by holding the mode button and pressing the fine button twice so that the reverse LED illuminates. We can then select the fixtures that we want to invert. Being that I'm controlling 4 fixtures, I'm going to deselect 5 and 6 automatically, and I'll deselect fixtures 1 and 3 so that my next actions will only invert the pan and tilt for the selected fixtures, which are fixtures 2 and 4. I'm going to press the tap display button to get to my coarse channel. I'll then press the mode button and select the scene button that corresponds to my pan channel. My fixtures are channel 1. The display will then read PH01. To exit the reverse or pan invert mode, press the mode button followed by the fine button. We can then use the faders to open our shutter. I've pressed the channel bank button so I can get down to the second bank of channels, as my shutter and dimmer are on channels 15 and 16. I'll select fixtures 1 and 3 so I can control all 4 fixtures at the same time and reactivate the shutter and dimmer. Now when I adjust my joystick, you'll notice that the fixtures are going opposite of each other every other one. This creates a crossing motion and is very useful during programming. You can also assign the crossfade to affect all channels or pan and tilt channels only. To do this, press and hold the program button to enter program mode. Next, press and hold down the mode button and simultaneously press the tap display button. All has come on in our display. This means that the fade time setting is currently set to affect all channels. If we want it to affect the joystick or pan and tilt channels only, we would press the mode button followed by tap display until we get our desired setting. you can select between all and only. Only means that the fade times will affect the pan and tilt channels only. To exit, press the program button for 2 seconds. To enter a MIDI channel for external operation in an automated installation, press and hold the MIDI record button for 2 seconds so that your display reads in, followed by the current active MIDI channel. To change the MIDI channel settings, use the bank down and up buttons. You can adjust this setting between 1 and 16. To store the MIDI channel, press and hold the MIDI record button for 2 seconds. All LEDs will flash, confirming that your MIDI channel has been stored. To manually control your lights, press the blackout button if the indicator next to the blackout is flashing. This takes it out of blackout mode. Then select the fixture buttons for the fixtures that you wish to control. You can then use the faders and joystick to control the channels for your selected fixtures. While the top LED is lit, we can control channels 1 through 8 with the faders. Pressing the channel bank button illuminates the lower LED, which activates channels 9 through 16. Using the faders at this point, we'll control channels 9 through 16. My shutter and dimmer are on channels 15 and 16, so raising those faders opens the shutter and dimmer. At any point, I can use the joystick to control my beam. My gobo channel is on channel 11, so as I raise channel 11 fader, I can go through the various gobos of my lights. My gobo rotation channel is on channel 12, so as I raise it, I can index and then get a continuous rotation as I get closer to the top. I'll press the channel bank button once again to get to my color channel so I can put a color on top of my gobo. Channel 7 is my color channel. As I adjust it, you now see a color overlaying on top of the gobo. I can select and deselect fixtures at any time during this process as desired. I'll deselect fixtures 1 and 2. So as I adjust the beam using the joystick, you'll notice that only the selected fixtures are being manipulated. Any adjustments done with the faders at this point will only affect those fixtures as well. To program scenes, press and hold the program button for 2 seconds to enter program mode. A small indicator next to the program text will come on. Next, select the fixtures that you want included into your first scene. I'll deselect fixtures 2 and 4 so that fixtures 1 and 3 are the only ones selected. I can then use my channel faders to control the various channels of my lights. I've opened my shutter and dimmer with channels 15 and 16. I can then press the channel bank. I can then adjust my fixtures by adjusting faders 1 and 2 or using the joystick. My channel 7 will control the color channel. Pressing the channel bank button one time gets me to channel banks 9 through 16, which will then allow me to control my gobos, which are on channel 11. To store this as a scene, we want to select the scene bank that we want to store our scene to. Use the up and down arrow buttons to select from the 30 scene banks. We currently have scene bank 1 activated. To store this on scene bank 1, I'm going to press MIDI record button followed by scene button 1. All LEDs will momentarily flash, confirming that the scene has been stored. We can then move our lights and adjust the beam position. Use the channel faders to adjust our gobos and colors if desired. I'll press the channel bank to activate bank 1 through 8 and change the color. I'll then repeat the process of pressing the MIDI record button, simultaneously selecting one of the scene buttons. I'll save this one to button number 2. Once again, all LEDs will flash, confirming that the scene was stored. I'll then select fixtures 2 and 4 and deselect fixtures 1 and 3. I'll activate channel bank 9 through 16 and open my shutter and dimmer for those fixtures. I'll adjust the beam position with the joystick. Select a gobo and add rotation to it. I'll store this as a scene by repeating that same process of pressing the MIDI record button followed by the scene button where I want to store it to. I'll select scene button 3. You can always go back and select the scenes at any point during the record process. I'll program one more scene, which will include all 4 lights. Adjust their position using the joystick. I'll select a gobo. And store this as a scene by pressing the MIDI record button followed by scene button 4 simultaneously. All LEDs flash, confirming that that last scene was stored. I'll then exit the record scene mode by pressing and holding the program button for 2 seconds. Now that we've recorded some scenes, I've actually went ahead and recorded an additional 4 scenes on scene buttons 5 through 8 to fill up the bank. To play back those scenes, press the up and down bank buttons to select the bank that contains the scenes that you've stored. I stored my scenes on bank 1, so I've set it to 1. Next, press the blackout button so that the little indicator LED stops flashing. This takes the controller out of blackout mode. Scene 1 is immediately activated as it was the last one selected. Pressing any of the scene buttons will give you manual control of the scene being played back. These are the additional scenes that I programmed. These are the scenes that we programmed a little earlier. We can automatically sequence scenes that are programmed into one bank. It'll sequence the scenes from 1 through 8 in order. To do this, press the Auto Delete button. We can then use the speed fader to set a hold time for each scene. I've set my scenes to hold for 2.6 seconds. This tells us which scene is currently being played back. As you can see, it goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 in order. We can also add a fade time to those scenes by adjusting the fade time fader. This will cause smoother transitions between each scene being played back. Speed and fade time adjustments can be made on the fly at any time. You can also press the tap display button to get a tap sync action. This will make the scenes chase to the tempo at which I tapped the button to. To deactivate the tap sync, adjust the speed fader to a new setting. You can stop this sequence at any time by pressing the auto button. You can then trigger the scenes manually once again. Press the blackout button to bring all values to 0. Now that we've recorded some scenes, we can convert those scenes into a chase. To do so, press the program button for 2 seconds so you enter program mode, as indicated by the small flashing indicator light. Next, select the chase button where you want to store your scenes to. I've selected chase button number 1. Next, use the down and up buttons to select the bank that contains the scenes that you wish to start your chase. I've programmed my scenes into bank 1 and I programmed some into bank 2. I'll select scene 4 from bank 1 to start my chase and enter that by pressing the MIDI record button. Next, I'll select scene 6 from bank 1 and press the MIDI record button to enter it. I'll select scene 8 from bank 1 and press the MIDI record button to enter it. As you'll notice, the LEDs all flash, indicating that the scene has been stored into the chase. I'll use the up bank button to get to bank 2. And I pre-recorded 4 scenes into this bank. I'll select scene number 2 from bank 2 and store that into my chase. I'll then select scene 4 from bank 2 and store that into my chase. You can store up to 240 steps in each chase button. There are a total of 12 chase buttons. Next, I'll select scene 1 from page 2 and store that. I'll then deactivate chase 1 by pressing the chase 1 button. All the scenes that I stored there are now saved. I'll record a second chase into chase button 2. Once again, you'll use the down and up bank buttons to select your scene bank. I'll select scene 1 from bank 1 as my first chase step, then press the MIDI record button to enter. I'll select scene 3 from bank 1 to be my second chase step, then press the MIDI record button to enter. Select scene 7 from bank 1 and press the MIDI record button to enter. I'll then press the up arrow bank button to get to bank 2 and select a scene from here to store by pressing the MIDI record button. Once again, you can record up to 240 steps by taking these actions. I'm going to store one final chase into chase button number 3 by repeating the same actions of selecting my scene bank using the scene bank buttons, then selecting the scene that I wish to have as the first part of my chase. Once selected, press the MIDI record button to enter. MIDI record button to enter. Scene 6 from page 1, followed by the MIDI record button to enter. Scene 3 from page 1 and the MIDI record button to enter. I'll press the up bank button and select scene 4 and press the MIDI record button to enter. I'll then deselect chase 3 and press the program button for 2 seconds to exit the program mode. To play back a chase, press the blackout button if the indicator next to the blackout text is flashing. Doing this takes the controller out of blackout mode. Next, select one of the chases that you wish to play back by pressing one of the 12 chase buttons. I selected chase button 1. Now the controller is in manual mode. I can then sequence through the chase steps by using the up-down bank buttons. If you wish to have the controller automatically play the chase back, you can press the auto delete button, in which all chase steps will then be automatically sequenced. You can use the speed fader to adjust each step's hold time. You can also adjust the fade time fader to add a fade time between chase steps. You can also select chases to be in standby mode so that once the selected chase finishes running, the next one selected will follow. The flashing LED indicates that this is the chase that's running. Once this finishes running, the next selected chase will automatically begin to play back. As I've recorded 3 chases here, you'll notice that the 3 chases will sequence once they're finished playing. If you wish to have the controller trigger the chases via sound, you can press the music button, which activates the internal microphone. Any sound that is detected from that point forward will trigger the chase steps. In addition, if you have a line level input connected to the rear of the controller, the low frequencies will trigger the chase steps. To put the controller back in auto mode, press the button once again. Once the same chase button is selected, it deactivates the chase. Once you deactivated all chases, if you have the auto button selected, any scenes from the selected bank will begin to run automatically. If you wish to black out all lights at this point, press the blackout button. The stock joystick is interchangeable with optional data wheels. If you wish to have control of your fixtures using data wheels as opposed to a joystick, you can purchase this from your local Elation dealer. To change it out is very simple. Get a Phillips head screwdriver and take out the 2 Phillips head screws that fasten the joystick module to the controller. Once you detach the connector from the joystick module, make sure to securely fasten the connector to the new data wheel module. To insert the screws, pull the actual wheels off and then refasten the screws so that the module is attached to the unit. Once you attach the screws, you can then replace the knobs. This will now give us control of our tilt and pan for assigned fixtures.